Hello. Once again, it's the publication anniversary of my sci-fi poetry book, Not a Lot of Reasons to Sing, but Enough, via Button Poetry. So I'm sharing a few of the poems that never got released as kind of like proper videos and a little commentary on them just for fun. This one is called Wolves, They Said, Prayer Like. It wasn't that the fence would cost too much or take too long to build. The men of the village just looked past us, past where the fence would be, into the great forest itself. Wolves, they said, prayer-like. Night after night, packs of vicious wolves leave the cover of the great forest to raid the farms just outside the village, taking sheep and hogs, dozens of the beasts, stinking of blood, so large they'll look you straight in the eye. They come and they kill our sheep, our hogs, and they disappear back into that endless whispering hell. We offered to start building the fence immediately, as this was still a relatively new settlement and our bosses figured they could curry favor with the people here by providing some basic protection. We knew right away, though, as our proposal hung in the air around the bonfire, these men would politely but firmly decline. We'd seen it before, this hunger. These men, always men, carrying their grandfather's swords, brittle from the rejection of their own softness. They didn't want to prevent the wolves from taking their livestock. They wanted to punish them. They would form hunting parties. They would sharpen spears and string bows, both useless in woods that dense, and these men would march straight into the darkness. The root of this kind of zealotry is always a story. Sometimes it's a story about how men are strong and strength always wins. Sometimes it's a story about how men are weak but can become strong through suffering. Sometimes it's a story about how terrifying it is to be alone, how important it is to go along. It's never a story anyone actually tells. It lives like a parasite in the margins of other stories, innocent stories of adventure and escapism, of men, always men. Overcoming long odds, winning through force of will and righteousness, men killing their enemies. The stories are tricks. The hardest man is softer than a dull blade, a shovel, a mouthful of teeth, rugged, becomes ragged, so easily strong, becomes inflexible, tough, becomes gristle. A single-minded enemy is easy to predict, to hunt. All these qualities men see as weapons. They're just weight, no use in the brush we move through. Too many men see wolf and think dog. Weak, familiar creature that cowers to a raised voice. Too many men see ourselves and think wolf, taste the blood between our teeth, and assume it once belonged to prey. Funny reading that out loud, I never noticed that the last word of the poem is pray, like P-R-E-Y, and that the title uses the word pray, like P-R-A-Y. Like, that's the fun thing about being a poet, is you discover stuff you didn't even mean to do, and it's kind of cool. But really quick, just to, share some thoughts on that piece. Like, if you know my work, I write about masculinity a lot, right? And this book, and its kind of like weird sci-fi angle, was a challenge to keep doing that, but in kind of a new way, or in a way that I haven't done before. So this is a poem about masculinity, but it's also very much a poem about narrative, about, the stories we tell that live underneath our values, our principles, how we make sense of the world, and in this case, how we think about gender and masculinity. So, like, if the story that I tell myself, or that I've been told growing up about, what it means to be a man, is always a story of control and physical power and vengeance and dominance and always being right and always winning, like, what kind of man is that going to make me? When the wolves come, and, the smart thing to do would be to, like, work together with the people in my community to come up with a plan to, like, build a fence together. But I have this story playing in the back of my head, that I'm going to go out there and I'm going to get those wolves. I'm going to punish them. I'm going to kill them with my bare hands, right? so many of us, as men, I think treat that traditional tough guy version of masculinity as empowering, when I would argue that it's exactly the opposite, right? It limits who we can be. It makes us predictable. It alienates people from us. It's like, you think you're such a big, scary dude, but really the only people afraid of you are probably your kids. I think in the background of the poem, though, there is kind of an alternative, right? The voice in the poem, the person who's speaking, like, has seen all this before, isn't impressed, finds it kind of boring and tragic. And that alternative isn't, like, spelled out. I don't think I'm capable as a poet to, like, tell you what to do or, like, tell men how to be. I think what a poem can do, however, is point out all the ways in which we are already being told how to be constantly. Right, and just step back and reveal that it doesn't have to be that way. Again, it's just, poem as a first step into what has to be a longer conversation. But yeah, thanks for listening.